Microphone here. There we go. All right. And let me get this so I can look down at my book. Boom. Ah, Gander's awoken. Good. All right. Here we go. Leaving the ocean's streams, the sun leapt up into the sky of bronze to shine his light for gods and mortals on the fertile earth. Telemachus arrived in Pylos, where the Pylians were bringing to the beach black bulls for blue Poseidon, lord of earthquakes. There were 9 benches, 50 men on each, and each group had 9 bulls to sacrifice. They burned the thigh bones for the god and ate the innards. Then the Ithacans arrived, took down their sails, dropped anchor, and alighted. The goddess with the flashing eyes, Athena, first led Telemachus on shore, then spoke. "Do not be shy, Telemachus. You sailed over the sea to ask about your father, where the earth hides him, what his fate might be. Now hurry to Nestor, lord of horses. Learn what advice he has in mind for you. Supplicate him yourself, and he will tell you the truth. He's not one to lie." Telemachus replied, "But mentor, how can I approach and talk to him? I'm quite inexperienced at making speeches, and as a young man, I feel awkward talking to elders." She looked straight into his eyes and answered, "You will work out what to do through your own wits and with divine assistance. The gods have blessed you in your life so far." So Pallas spoke and quickly led him on. He followed in the footsteps of the goddess. They reached the center of the town, where Nestor was sitting with his sons and his companions, putting the meat on spits and roasting it for dinner. When they saw the strangers coming, they all stood up with open arms to greet them, inviting them to join them. Nestor's son, Pisistratus, shook hands and sat them down, spreading soft fleeces on the sand beside his father and his brother. Thrasymedes, his brother Thrasymedes, yes. He served them giblets and then poured some wine into a golden cup and raised a toast to Pallas, child of Zeus, the Aegis Lord. "Now guests give prayers of thanks to Lord Poseidon and pour libations for the god. This feast is in his honor. Pay him proper dues. Then give the boy the cup of honeyed wine so he can offer to the deathless gods libations. Everybody needs the gods. I give the golden chalice to you first, because the boy is younger, more my age." He put the cup of sweet wine in her hands. Athena was impressed with his good manners, because he rightly gave it first to her. At once she made a heartfelt prayer. "Poseidon, O shaker of the earth, do not refuse to grant our prayer. May all these things come true. Bring fame to Nestor and his sons, and grant gifts to the Pylians as recompense for this fine sacrifice. And may the quest for which we sailed here on our swift black ship succeed, and may we come home safe again." She made her prayer come true all by herself. She gave Telemachus the splendid cup with double hands, and his prayer matched hers. And then they cooked the outer parts of the meat and helped themselves to pieces, sharing round the glorious feast, till they could eat no more. Then the first Gerenian Nestor, horse lord, spoke. "Now that our guests are satisfied with food, time now to talk to them and ask them questions. Strangers, who are you? Where did you sail from? Are you on business or just scouting round like pirates on the sea who risk their lives to ravage foreign homes?" Telemachus was thoughtful but not shy. Athena gave him the confidence deep in his heart to ask about his absent father and to gain a noble reputation for himself. "Great Nestor, son of Neleus," he said, "you ask where I am from, and I will be frank. I come from Ithaca, beneath Mount Neon, and I am here on private family business. I came to gather news about my father, long-suffering Odysseus. They say he fought with you to sack the town of Troy. We know the place where all the other men who battled with the Trojans lost their lives. But Zeus still keeps Odysseus' fate in darkness. No one knows where he was lost. Maybe some hostile men killed him on land, or he was drowned in Amphitrite's waves. Amphitrite's waves, maybe. I beg you, tell me, did you see him die with your own eyes? Or do you have any news about where he may be? He must be lost. His mother surely bore him some misfortune. You need not sweeten what you say in pity or from embarrassment. Just tell me straight what your eyes saw of him, my noble father. If ever he made promises to you and kept his word at Troy in times of trouble, remember those now. Please tell me the truth. Gerenian Nestor, horse lord, answered him. Excuse me. Dear boy, you call to mind how much we suffered with strong, unyielding hearts in distant lands, when we were sailing over misty seas led by Achilles on a hunt for spoils, and when we fought around the mighty city of Priam. Our best warriors were killed. Ajax lies dead there, and there lies Achilles. There lies his godlike friend and guide Patrick. Patroclus. My own strong, matchless son lies dead there too. Antilochus, who fought and ran so well. More pain, more grief, our suffering increased. Who could recount so many losses? If you stayed here 5 years and kept on asking how many things the fighters suffered there, you would get bored and go back home again before the story ended. 9 long years we schemed to bring them down, and finally Zeus made our plot succeed. Odysseus, your father, if you really are his son, well, no one dared to try to equal him in cleverness. That man was always best at every kind of trick, and seeing you, I am amazed at how you talk like him. One would not think so young a man could do it. Well, back in Troy, Odysseus and I always agreed in councils, with one mind. We gave the Argives all the best advice. After we conquered Priam's lofty town, a god dispersed the ships of the Achaeans. Zeus planned a bitter journey home for us, since some of us had neither sense nor morals. Gray-eyed Athena, daughter of the thunder, became enraged and brought about disaster. She set the sons of Atreus to fight each other. Hastily they called the people at sunset, not observing proper norms. The men arrived already drunk on wine. The brothers told them why they called the meeting. Then Menelaus said it was time.
Shah!
To sail back home to the open sea. Shah! But Agamemnon disagreed entirely. Hold on, I'm going to adjust my microphone a little bit. Patroclus? Oh, that makes sense. He wanted them to stay and sacrifice to heal the sickness of Athena's wrath. Pointless. Wrath. He did not know she would not yield. The minds of the immortals rarely change. So those two stood and argued angrily, and with a dreadful clash of arms, the Greeks leapt on to 2 opposing sides. We slept that eerie night with hearts intent on hatred against each other, since Zeus meant us harm. At dawn, one group of us dragged down our ships into the sea piled high with loot and women, while half the army still remained there, stationed with Agamemnon, shepherd of the people. My friends and I set sail with all good speed. A god had made the choppy sea lie calm. We came to Tenedos and sacrificed, praying to get back home. But Zeus refused. The cruel god roused yet more strife among us. Your father's plans were always flexible. His men turned round their prows and sailed right back to make their peace again with Agamemnon. But I assembled all my fleet and fled. I understood some god must mean us harm. Then Diomedes roused his men to come, and ruddy Menelaus quickly sailed to meet with us on Lesbos, and we pondered our long sea journey. Should we travel north, go past the rocks of Chios to our left, to Passyria, or under Chios, passing blustery Mimas? So we prayed for signs. The gods told us to cross the open sea towards Euboea to escape disaster. A fair wind whistled, and our ships sped on across the journeyways of fish, and landed at nightfall on Geraestus. To Poseidon we offered many bulls, since we had crossed safely across wide waters. The 4th day the men of Diomedes moored their ships at Argos. I kept going on to Pylos. The wind the god had sent kept holding strong the whole way home. So, my dear boy, I have no news about what happened next. I do not know which of them has died and who is safe. But I can tell you what I heard while sitting here in my halls. You ought to know. They say Achilles' son led home the Myrmidons, and Philoctetes came back home with glory, and Idomeneus led back his crew to Crete. No man of his who had survived the war was lost at sea. And Agamemnon, you must have heard, though you live far away, Aegisthus murdered him, but he has paid a bitter price. How fortunate the dead man had left a son to take revenge upon the wicked, scheming killer that is Aegisthus, who killed Orestes' father. My dear boy, I see that you are tall and strong. Be brave so you will be remembered. Thoughtfully, Telemachus replied, Your Majesty, King Nestor, yes. Your Majesty, King Nestor, yes. Orestes took revenge. The Greeks will make him famous through the world and into future times. I wish the gods would grant me that much power against those men who threaten and insult me, those cruel suitors. The gods have not yet granted us this blessing, my father and myself. We must endure. Granarian Nestor, Lord of Horses, answered, Dear boy, since you have brought the subject up, I have been told about your mother's suitors, how badly they are treating you at home. But do you willingly submit to it? Or has a god's voice led the townspeople to hate you? Well, who knows? Perhaps one day he will come home and take revenge alone, or with an army of Greeks. If only Athena loved you, as she had to care for glorious Odysseus at Troy when we were doing badly. I have never seen gods display such favor as she gave when she stood by your father. If she helped you with that much love, the suitors would forget their hopes for marriage. Then Telemachus replied, My lord, I doubt that this will happen. I am surprised you have such confidence. I would not be so hopeful, even if the gods were willing. Then the goddess spoke. Telemachus, what do you mean? A god can easily save anyone, at will, no matter the distance. I would rather suffer immensely, but then get home safe than die on my return like Agamemnon, murdered by his own wife and by Aegisthus. But death is universal. Even gods cannot protect the people that they love when fate and cruel death catch up with them. Telemachus said apprehensively, Mentor, this is upsetting. Change the subject. He had no real chance now of getting home. The gods have fenced him round with death and darkness. Let me ask Nestor something else. He is wiser and more informed than anyone. They say he ruled for 3 whole generations. He took to me like some immortal god. So Nestor, son of Neleus, tell me truly, how did the great king Agamemnon die? And where was Menelaus? Was he lost away from Greece when Aegisthus dared to kill a king, a better man than him? How did that wicked trickster's plot succeed? Gerenian Nestor, Lord of Horses, answered, I will tell you everything, though you can guess what would have happened if fair Menelaus had found Aegisthus living in his halls on his return. And even when he died, no one would bury him. He lay upon the open plain without a tomb and far from town for birds and dogs to eat. No Greek would mourn that monster. While we fought and labored at Troy, this layabout set safe in Argos, seducing, Clytemnestra, noble wife of Agamemnon. For a while she scorned his foul suggestions, since her heart was good. Moreover, when her husband went to Troy, he left a poet, ordered to protect her. But finally, fate forced the queen to yield. Aegisthus left the poet to be eaten by birds abandoned on a desert island. He led the woman back to his own house by mutual desire, and then he made numerous offerings on holy altars of animals and lovely gold and cloth. He had succeeded far beyond his hope. And meanwhile, I left Troy with Menelaus. We sailed together, best of friends. We reached the holy cape of Athens, Sunion. There, Phoebus, with his gentle arrows, shot and killed the pilot, Phrontis, as he held the ship's helm as she sped along. No man knew better how to steer through any storm, so Menelaus stopped to bury him with proper rites. At last he sailed again across the wine-dark sea, But as his ships rushed round the craggy heights of Malia, far-seeing Zeus sent curses on his journey, pouring out screaming winds and giant waves the size of mountains, splitting up the fleet. Some ships were hurled to Crete, to River Jardan, where the Sidonian people have their homes. There steep rock rises sheer above the sea near Gortyn in the misty deep. South winds drive mighty waves towards the left-hand crag and push them west to Phaestus. One small rock restrains the massive currents. All the ships were smashed by waves against those rocks. The men were almost drowned. 5 other dark, proud ships were blown by wind and sea away to Egypt. There Menelaus gathered wealth and gold and drifted with his ships through foreign lands. Meanwhile, at home, Aegisthus had been plotting. He killed the son of Atreus and seized control of rich Mycenae. I used to know how to pronounce this one. Where he reigned for 7 years. But in the 8th, Orestes came to destroy him. He returned from Athens and killed his father's murderer, then called the Argives to a funeral, a feast for clever, scheming, cowardly Aegisthus, who he had killed, and his own hated mother. That very day, rambunctious Menelaus arrived with all his ships crammed full of treasure. The moral is, you must not stay away too long, dear boy, when those proud suitors lurk inside your house. They may divide your wealth among themselves and make your journey useless. But I suggest you go to Menelaus. He recently returned from lands so distant, no one would even hope to get home safe once driven off by winds so far off course. Over such dangerous, enormous seas, birds migrate there and take a year or more to travel back. Go visit him by ship with your own crew, or if you would prefer, you can go there by land. Here is a carriage. My sons can guide you all the way to Sparta to Menelaus. Ask him for the truth. He will not lie, he is an honest man. The sun went down and darkness fell. The goddess, bright-eyed Athena, spoke to them. King Nestor, your speech was good and your advice was sound, but now slice up the tongues and pour the wine for Lord Poseidon and the other gods before we rest. Time now to go to bed. The light is fading, and it is not right to linger at a banquet in the dark. The people listened to Athena's words. The house slaves poured fresh water on their hands, and boys filled up the mixing bowls with wine and poured it into cups, and first prepared the sacrifice. They threw tongues on the fire, then sprinkled wine. Then each man drank his fill. Then Zeus's daughter and the godlike boy both rose to go together to their ship. But Nestor called to stop them. Zeus forbids it, and all the other gods who live forever. You cannot leave my house for your swift ship as if I were a poor and ragged man with so few beds and blankets in his home that neither he nor guests can sleep in comfort. I have soft quilts and blankets in abundance. The darling son of great Odysseus must not sleep on the ship's deck while I live. Not while my son remains here in my house, ready to welcome anyone who visits. The bright-eyed goddess answered him. Old friend, you are quite right. Telemachus should do just as you say. That is a better plan. He will stay here tonight and go to sleep in your fine palace. But I must go back to tell the crew the news and keep them strong. You see, I am the oldest in our party. The rest are younger men, close friends together, the same age as our brave Telemachus. I will sleep there beside the hollow ship. At dawn, I have important obligations. To visit with the Caconians. The boy can be your guest. Then send him off, escorted by your son. Give him a carriage drawn by your strongest and most nimble horses. Bright-Eye Athena flew away, transformed into an ossifrage. Astonishment seized all the people watching, even Nestor. He seized Telemachus' hand and said, Dear boy, I am now sure that you will be a hero, since the gods are on your side at your young age. This was a god none other than the great Athena, true-born child of Zeus, who has glorified your noble father. Goddess, be kind to us as well, and grant honor to me, my good wife, and our sons. Now I will sacrifice a yearling heifer, broad-bowed and still unyoked, and gild her horns with gold to bless your journey. So he spoke, and Pallas heard his prayer. Gerenian Nestor led them and his sons and sons-in-laws inside his own magnificent great hall, When they were all inside, he seated them on benches and on chairs arranged in order, and he himself mixed up the bowl for them of sweet, delicious wine. He had preserved it 11 years. The slave girl opened it, pulling off the lid. As the old man mixed, he prayed and poured libations for Athena. They all poured also. Then they drank their fill, then each went home to sleep in his own chamber. Nestor, the horseman, made a special bed, right there for his dear friend, the warrior's son, a camp bed on the echoing portico, besides Pisistratus, the only son not living with a wife but still at home. Nestor himself slept by his wife, the queen, in a secluded corner of the palace. When newborn Dawn appeared with rosy fingers, the horse lord Nestor jumped out of bed and ran outside, feeling so extra-satisfied, 'cause it's the best day. Hi, Space. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're enjoying lunch. Jumped out of bed and hurried down toward the polished stones that stood outside his palace, bright with oil. There Neleus used to give godlike advice, until fate took him and he went to Hades, and Nestor, guardian of the Greeks, took over the scepter. From their rooms his sons arrived to throng around him. Echephron and Stratius, Eridas, Perseus, great Thersimedes, and strong Pisistratus VI. They brought godlike Telemachus to sit with them. Nestor spoke first. "Dear sons, now hurry up. Fulfill my wishes. First we must appease Athena, who revealed herself to me during the holy feast. Now one of you must run down to the fields to choose a cow. Let herdsmen drive her back here. And another, go to Telemachus' ship and bring the men. Leave only 2 behind. Another must bring Laerces here, who pours the gold so he can gild the heifer's horns. You others stay here. Tell the girls inside to cook a royal feast and set out seats, put wood around the altar, and clear water." At that, the sons all got to work. The cow was brought up from the field. The crew arrived from the swift, solid ship. The goldsmith came with all the bronze tools useful for his trade, hammer and anvil and well-crafted tongs, and worked the gold. Athena came to take the sacrifice. King Nestor gave the gold the craftsmen poured on the horns to make a lovely offering to please the goddess. Stratius and Echephron together led the heifer by the horns. Aredes came and brought a water bowl adorned with flowers, and in his other hand a box of grain. Strong Thrasimedes stood nearby and held a sharpened axe, prepared to strike the cow. Perseus held the blood bowl. Nestor started to sprinkle barley groats and ritual water, as he threw the hares into the fire, he said prayers to Athena. When the rites were finished, mighty Thersimedes struck the axe. Thersimedes struck. The axe sliced through the sinews of the neck. The cow was paralyzed. Then Nestor's daughters and his sons' wives and his own loyal queen, Eurydice, began to chant. The men hoisted the body, and Pisistratus sliced through her throat. Black blood poured out. The life was gone. They butchered her, cut out the thighs, all in the proper place, and covered them with double fat and placed raw flesh upon them. The old king burned the pieces on the logs and poured the bright red wine. The young men came to stand beside him holding 5-pronged forks. They burned the thigh bones thoroughly and tasted the entrails, then carved up the rest and skewered the meat on pointed spits and roasted it. Meanwhile, Telemachus was being washed by Nestor's eldest daughter, Polycaste. When she had washed and rubbed his skin with oil, she dressed him in a fine tunic and cloak, and he emerged. His looks were like a god's. He sat by Nestor, shepherd of the people. The meat was roasted and drawn off the spits. They sat to eat while trained slaves served the food, pouring the wine for them in golden cups. After their hunger and their thirst were gone, Gerenian Nestor, horse lord, started talking. "My sons now bring 2 horses with fine manes and yoke them to the carriage, so our guest can start his journey." They obeyed it. Now my sons, I see. My sons now bring 2 horses. Okay, I see. They obeyed at once, and quickly latched swift horses to the carriage. One of the house girls brought out food and wine and delicacies fit to feed a king. Telemachus got the lovely carriage. Pisistratus, the son of Nestor, followed. The son of Pisistratus followed. End of book 3. So, the next book is kind of long. Oh boy, I might still read it. I don't know. We're only 51 minutes in. Excuse me. So, what I pick up from that chapter is that, it seems that it's interesting because Athena is going about in a disguise and then revealing herself by flying and fluttering away. And it's interesting that everyone in the story just kind of accepts that the gods kind of like show up. The big bookungus. Like it's just a thing that happens, and I'm guessing what they mean by Zeus cursing the ships that were on their way home, I'm assuming they mean that storms struck the seas, and they are saying that Zeus is the one who sent them. Now, whether that's corroborated or true is, I mean, I guess only Zeus knows. But if he did, I'm not sure why. I'm not sure what the reasoning behind it would be. I really like how they describe the rituals as well. It's actually, like, from a historical perspective, it's really cool to get to hear kind of how they did some of their rites. That probably happened in the Iliad. So the Iliad is the book that comes before the Odyssey, correct? I really should read that at some point as well. I honestly forgot. It's the Iliad, the Odyssey, and there's one more, right? I think it's 3 epics. It's the account of the Trojan War. The Odyssey is the aftermath. Got you. Well, maybe one day we'll read the I guess the prequel to this. I don't know if there's another translation by the same person that translated this one, but I really like her. The Aeneid, which was written later by Romans. I see. Cool. Cool stuff. Zeus loves to do a bit of trolling. It's just that Gods appearing was just a part of normalcy in the myths. Yeah, they just kind of pop up. This is just like Hades too. They just kind of appear. All right, we'll do one more book because I think doing 2 per session is a good way to get through this. So, without further ado, let's begin the next book. Jesus. All right. Book 4. What the Sea God Said. They came to Sparta, land of caves and valleys, and drove to Menelaus' home. They found him hosting a wedding feast for many guests to celebrate his children's marriages. In Troy, he had declared that he would give his daughter to Achilles' son, who ruled the Myrmidons. Now he was sending her with dowry gifts of horse-drawn chariots. The gods had made the marriage come to pass. And he was welcoming a Spartan bride, Elector's daughter, for his well-loved son, the strong Megapenthes, mothered by a slave. The gods had given Helen no more children after the beautiful Hermione, image of Aphrodite all in gold. Neighbors and family were feasting gladly under the king's high roof. The bard was singing and strumming, and 2 acrobats were spinning and leading them in dance. Telemachus and Nestor's son stopped by the palace doors and held their horses. Menelaus' guard, Etonius, ran out and saw them there, and then hurried back inside to tell his master. Your Majesty, there are 2 men outside, strangers who seem like sons of Zeus. Please tell me, should we take off the harnesses from their horses, or send them to find another host? Flushed Menelaus shouted angrily. I'm pronouncing his name differently every fucking time, Jesus. You used to have some brains. Now you're talking like a silly child. We too were fed by many different hosts before returning home, as we may hope for Zeus to keep us safe in future times. Untack their horses, lead them in to dine. So Edionis rushed out of the palace and ordered other slaves to follow him. They freed the sweating horses from their yoke and tied them by the manger, which they filled with emmer, which they had mixed with bright white barley. They leaned the carriage up against the wall and led their guests inside the godlike house. The boys looked round the palace in amazement. The lofty halls of famous Menelaus shone like a dazzling light of sun or moon. When they had satisfied their eyes with staring, they went to the bath in polished tubs. The slave girls helped them wash and rub them down in olive oil, then dressed them in wool cloaks and tunics, and then seated them beside the son of Atreus, King Menelaus. I wonder if it feels good to be covered in olive oil all the time. Like, I know it's like a cleanliness thing, but I'm not actually exactly sure how that keeps you clean, but does it like make you greasy? Or is it kind of like putting lotion on, you know? A house girl brought a basin made of silver and water in a golden jug. She poured it over their hands to wash, then set a table of polished wood beside them, and a humble slave girl brought bread in many canapes, a lavish spread. Also, it's so cool that they wash their hands when they eat. Like, I know that that's stupid. I know it's stupid to be impressed by that, but like, the fact that ancient peoples were able to figure out that if you wash your hands before eating, you don't get sick as much, like, I don't know, it's just interesting. Like, they don't know what germs are. Like, germ theory doesn't exist for another hundreds of years, but yet still, they wash their fingies. Very polite, very nice. The carver carried platters with every kind of meat, and set before them cups made of gold. Then ruddy Menelaus welcomed them both and told them, "Help yourselves, enjoy the food. When you've shared our meal, we will begin to ask you who you are. Your fathers must be scepter-bearing kings. The sons of peasants do not look like you." With that, he took the dish of rich roast meat, cut from the back, which was his special meal, and offered it to them. They reached their hands to take the food set out in front of them. After their thirst and hunger had been sated, Telemachus turned round to Nestor's son, ducking his head so no one else could hear. "Pisistratus, dear friend, do you see how these echoing halls are shining bright with bronze and silver, gold and ivory and amber? It is as full of riches as the palace of Zeus on Mount Olympus. I am struck with awe." When Menelaus heard his words, he spoke to them in truth. His words flew out. "No mortal, my dear boys, can rival Zeus. His halls and home are the property of deathless. Property are deathless. Some man may match my wealth, or maybe not. I suffered for it. I was lost adrift at sea for 8 long years. I traipsed through Cyprus, Phoenicia, Egypt, Ethiopia, Sidon, and Araby, and Libya, where lambs are born with horns. Their ewes give birth 3 times a year. The master and his slave have milk and cheese and meat. The flock provides sweet milk year-round. But while I wandered there, accumulating wealth, someone crept in and killed my brother. His own scheming wife betrayed him. I can take no joy in all my wealth. Whoever they may be, your fathers have surely told you how much I've suffered. I've lost my lovely home, and I was parted for many years from all my splendid riches. I wish I had stayed here with just 1/3 of all my treasure I've now acquired. If those who had died at Troy, so far away from Argive pastures, were alive and well, I sit here in my palace, mourning all those who died, and often weeping. Sometimes tears bring comfort to my heart, but not for long. Cold grief grows sickening. I miss them all, but one man most. When I remember him, I cannot eat or sleep, since no one labored like him. Odysseus. His destiny was suffering, and mine the endless pain of missing him. Gay! We do not even know if he is still alive. He's been ages so long. His faithful wife and old Laertes must grieve for him, and young Telemachus, who was newborn when he went away. These words roused in the boy a desperate need to mourn his father. Tears rolled down his face and splashed upon the ground. He lifted up his cloak to hide his eyes, but Menelaus noticed and wondered whether he should wait until the boy first spoke about his father or ask. As he was hesitating, Helen emerged from their high-ceilinged, fragrant bedroom, like Artemis, who carried golden arrows. Adraste set a special chair for her. Alcippe, I think that's their name, spread upon it soft wool blankets, and Philo brought a silver sewing basket given to her by Alcandre, the wife of Polybus, who lived in Thebes in Egypt, where people have extraordinary wealth. He gave 2 silver tubs to Menelaus, a pair of tripods, and 10 pounds of gold. His wife gave other lovely gifts for Helen, a golden spindle and this silver basket on wheels. The rims were finished off with gold. Philo, her girl, brought out that basket now, packed full of yarn she had already spun. A spindle wound around with purple wool was laid across it. She sat down and put her feet upon a stool and asked her husband, "Do we know who these men are, Menelaus, who have arrived here in our house? Shall I conceal my thoughts or speak? I feel compelled to say, the sight of them amazes me. I never saw 2 people so alike as this boy and Telemachus, the son of spirited Odysseus, the child he left behind, a little newborn baby the day the Greeks marched off to Troy. Their minds fixated on war and violence. They made my face the cause that hounded them." High-colored Menelaus answered,
Shaw!
He answered, "Shah!
Shaw!
Wife, I saw the likeness too. Odysseus had hands like those legs, that hair, that head, that glancing gaze. And when I spoke just now about Odysseus and all the things he suffered for my sake, the boy grimaced and floods of tears were pouring down his cheeks. He raised his purple cloak to hide his eyes. Pisistratus, the son of Nestor, spoke. King Menelaus, you are right. This is that warrior's true-born son, just as you said. But he is shy and feels he should not speak too boldly in your presence right away. Your voice is like a god's to us. Lord Nestor sent me here to guide him. He longed to see you to get some news from you or some advice. A son whose father is away will suffer intensely if he has no man at home to help him. In the absence of his father, Telemachus has no one to protect him. Then Menelaus answered, So the son of my dear friend, who worked so hard for me, has come here to my house. I always thought that I would greet that friend with warmth beyond all other Argives, if Zeus let us sail home with all speed across the sea. I would have brought him from Ithaca with all his wealth, his son and people, and bestowed on him a town in Argos, driving out the natives from somewhere hereabouts under my rule. We would have constantly spent time together. Nothing would have divided us in love and joy till death's dark cloud surrounded us. But I suppose the god begrudged our friendship and kept that poor, unlucky man from home. Oh my god, Menelaus is like... He wants the Odie. The Odyssey, even. His words made everyone want to cry. Helen was weeping, as was Menelaus. Pisistrates' eyes were full of tears for irreplaceable Antilochus, killed by the noble son of shining dawn. Mindful of him, he spoke with words like wings. King Menelaus, when we spoke of you back home in our own halls, my father Nestor always declared you are exceptional for common sense. So listen now to me. I disapprove of crying during dinner. Dawn will come soon, weep then. There's no harm in mourning when a person dies. It is the only honor we can pay the dead, to cut our hair and drench our cheeks with tears. I had a brother named Antilochus, one of the bravest fighters in the army, a sprinter and a warrior. He died. I never got to meet him or see him. Perhaps you did. King Menelaus answered, My friend, you speak just as a wise man should, like somebody much older than yourself. You show your father's wisdom in your speech. A lineage is easy to discern when Zeus spins out a life of happiness in marriage and in offspring. So he gave good luck to Nestor all his life. He aged at home in comfort, and his sons are wise and skillful spearmen. Yes, we will stop crying and turn our minds to dinner once again. Let them pour water on our hands. At dawn, Telemachus and I can talk at length. At that, Asphalion, the nimble house slave of mighty Menelaus, poured the water over their hands. They helped themselves to food from laden tables. Then the child of Zeus, Helen, decided she would mix the wine with drugs to take all pain and rage away, to bring forgetfulness of every evil. Whoever drinks this mixture from the bowl will shed no tears that day, not even if her mother or father die, nor even if soldiers kill her brother or her darling son with bronze spears before her very eyes. Helen had these powerful magic drugs from Polydamna, wife of Thon from Egypt, where fertile fields produce the most narcotics, some good, some dangerous. The people there are skillful doctors. They are the healer's people. She mixed the wine and told the slave to pour it and then spoke again. Now Menelaus and you, two noble sons of noble men. Zeus gives us good and bad at different times. He has the power. Sit here, then, and eat, and I will entertain you with a story. Enjoy it is fitting to the times. I cannot tell of all the challenges steadfast Odysseus has undergone, but I will tell you what that brave man did at Troy. When the Achaeans were in trouble, he beat himself and bruised his body badly, and put a ragged cloak on like a slave, and then shuffled through the enemy city's streets. In his disguise, he seemed an old, poor beggar, hardly a man to sail with the Achaeans. He crept through Troy like that, and no one knew him except for me. I saw through his disguise and questioned him. He was too smart to talk, acting evasive, but I washed and scrubbed him with oil and dressed him, and I swore an oath that I would not reveal him to the Trojans before he got back to his own camp. He told me all the things the Greeks were planning. On his way back, he used his long bronze sword to slaughter many Trojans, and he brought useful intelligence to tell the Greeks. The Trojan woman kneeled in grief, but I was glad. By then, I wanted to go home. I wish that Aphrodite had not made me go crazy when she took me from my country and made me leave my daughter in the bed I shared with my fine, handsome, clever husband." And Melanius said, "Yes, wife, quite right. I have been round the world, and I have met many heroic men and known their minds. I never saw a man so resolute as that Odysseus. How tough he was, and what impressive fortitude he showed inside the wooden horse. We fighters lurked inside to bring destruction to the Trojans. You came there too. Some spirit who desired to glorify the Trojans urged you on. Godlike Deiphobus was following you. 3 times you went around the hollow belly, touching the hiding place and calling on us Greeks by name. You put on different voices for each man's wife. Then I and Diomedes and good Odysseus, inside the horse, heard you call out to us, and we too wanted to go out or to answer from in there. Odysseus prevented us from going. Then all the other sons of the Achaeans were quiet. Anticlus still wished to answer. Odysseus's hands clamped shut his mouth and saved us all. He held him there like that until Athena led you far away." Weighing these words, Telemachus replied, "But Menelaus, all this makes us worse. My father's courage could not save his life, even if he had a heart of iron. So now show us bed. We need the comfort of being lulled into a sweet, deep sleep." Then Argive Helen told her girls to spread beds on the porch and pile them fine rugs of purple and lay blankets over them, with woolly covers on the very top. The girl went out with torches in their hands and made the beds. A slave led out the guests. Telemachus and Nestor's handsome son slept in the front room. Menelaus slept far back inside the lofty house. Beside him lay marvelous Helen in her flowing gown. Soon dawn was born, her fingers bright with roses. Gruff Menelaus jumped out of bed, got dressed and strapped his sharp sword to his shoulder, then tied his sandals on his well-oiled feet. He went out of his bedroom like a god, approached Telemachus, and spoke to him. "What need has brought you here, Telemachus, to Sparta, over such expansive sea? Private or public business? Tell me truly." Telemachus inhaled and replied, "King Menelaus, son of Atreus, I came in search of news about my father. My house is being eaten up. Our wealth is ruined. My whole home is full of men who mean me harm. My mother's loutish God, I wish I could not have that happen. My mother's loudest suitors. Each day they kill more sheep, more longhorn cattle. So I'm begging you here on my knees, tell me the dreadful news if he is dead. Perhaps you saw it with your eyes or heard tales of his travels. He was surely born to suffer in extraordinary ways. Please do not try to sweeten bitter news. From pity, tell me truly if you saw him and how he was. If my heroic father ever helped you at Troy when things were bad, keep that in mind right now and tell the truth." Flushed, Menelaus shouted in anger, "Damn them! Those cowards want to steal the bed of one whose heart is braver than their own. As when a deer lays down next to 2 fawns, still sucklings in the lair of some strong lion, and goes to look for pasture over slopes and grassy valleys. When the lion comes back to his own bed, he brings down doom on them. So will Odysseus upon those men. O Father Zeus, Athena, and Apollo, I pray he is strong as when he stood and wrestled Philomelides on Lesbos and hurled him to the ground, and we all cheered. Philomelides? Something like that. May all their lives be brief, their weddings cursed. As for your questions, I will not deceive you. I will not hide a single word I heard from the old sea god Proteus. Although I longed to come back home, away from Egypt, the gods prevented me. Since I had failed to offer perfect hecatombs, they always desire obedience. There's an island out at the sea inside the coast of Egypt, named Pharos. If a clear wind blows your ship, it takes all day to travel to that island. Its harbor has good anchorage, and their men draw dark water up and then launch off to sea. But I was held for 20 days by gods. No wind appeared to guide my ships back across the water. All our supplies would have been gone and all our hope. But then a goddess, Eidothea, pitied me. The child of Proteus, the old sea god, she met me pacing sadly all alone. My men were off around the island, fishing with hooks as usual. Hunger pinched their bellies. She stood beside me and she spoke to me. Stranger, are you so foolish as to choose to give up and take pleasure in your pain? There is no end in sight. You have been struck here on this island for so long. Your men grow weak at heart. I answered her and said, Whoever you may be, for sure a goddess, I tell you I am trapped against my will. I must have sinned against the deathless gods who live in heaven. Please explain which spirit is blocking me from going home across the teeming sea. Gods must know everything." That shining goddess answered me at once. "Stranger, I will be frank with you. A deathless old sea god haunts this place, named Proteus of Egypt, who can speak infallibly, who knows the depths of the seas and serves Poseidon. They say he is the one who fathered me. And if you can somehow lie in wait and catch him, he will explain how you can get back home, plotting your path where fish leap through the waters. And if you wish it, Prince, he will explain what happened to your home, both good and bad, while you were gone on this long, painful journey." Those were her words. I answered, "Tell me, please, how I can trap this ancient god so he will not see me too soon and get away. It is not too easy for a man to catch a god." The goddess answered me at once. "Stranger, I will instruct you thoroughly. When the sun hits the midpoint of the sky, the old god bobs above the salty water. The breath of Zephyr hides him in dark shade. He goes to take his nap inside the caves. Around him sleep the clustering seals, the daughters of lovely Lady Brine. Their breath smells sour from gray seawater, pungent, salty depths. Select the 3 best men you have on board, and when dawn breaks, I will take all of you down to the shore and set you in a line. Let me explain the old god's tricks. He will first count the seals and walk around among them. When he has counted them and checked them all, he lies down in the middle like a shepherd among his flock of sheep. When you observe him sleeping, gather all your force and strength and hold him there, despite his desperate struggles. In trying to escape, he will change shape to every animal on earth and then water in holy fire. You must hold fast, unshaken, and press harder. Keep him down. At last he will assume again the form in which he went to sleep, and he will speak and question you. Then, warrior, release your forceful hold on that old god and ask him which god is angry with you, and the way to cross the fish-filled waters to go home." With that, she sank beneath the deep-sea waves. I went down to the ships upon the sand. My heart was surging in me as I walked, arriving at the ships and at the shore. We made our meal. Then came immortal night. We went to sleep beside the water's edge. When dawn appeared, her fingers bright with flowers, I walked beside the spreading sea, along the dunes. I prayed intensely to the gods. Then I chose my most 3 trusted men. The goddess dove down deep inside the sea and brought 4 sealskins up from the underwater, new flayed, to help her plot against her father. She scooped out hiding places in the sand and sat to wait. We came right up to her. She laid us in a row and put a skin on each. It would have been a dismal hideout, stinking of salt-bred seals. Who would lie down to rest beside a creature from the sea? But she brought sweet ambrosia to save us. She very kindly put it in our nostrils to take away the stench of seal. We waited all morning, apprehensively, and then out of the sea there rose a pod of seals. They lay along the shore. At noon the god emerged above the waves. He went among his fatted seals and counted out their number. He counted us among the first of them, suspecting nothing. Then he lay down too. With a great shout, we pounced on him and grabbed him. The old god still remembered all his tricks. At first came a lion with a mane, then snake, then leopard, then mighty boar, then flowing water, then a leafy tree. But we kept holding on. Our hearts stood firm. At last that ancient sorcerer grew tired, and then he asked me, "Son of Atreus, what god devised this plan with you and taught you to lurk and capture me against my will? What do you want from me?" And I replied, "Old god, why do you want to throw me off? You know I have been trapped here on this island for far too long with no way out. My heart grows faint. So tell me, gods know everything, which spirit stops my journey, and how can I get home across the watery shoals of fish?" At once he answered me and told me thus, "You should have given Zeus and the other gods fine offerings to speed your journey home across the wine-dark sea. It is your fate not to go home or see the ones you love until you go again to Egypt's river, watered by Zeus, and kill 100 cows to please the deathless gods who live in heaven. Then they will let you travel where you wish." I felt heartbroken that I had to cross the misty sea to go again to Egypt, a long and bitter journey. But I answered, "Sir, I will do exactly as you say. But come now, tell me this, and tell me truly. Did all the Greeks sail safely home by ship, whom Nestor and myself led there in Troy?" Did any meet a dreadful death at sea, on his own ship, or in familiar arms, after the war wound up? When I said this, he once answered me and said these things. O son of Atreus, why ask me this? You have no need to know or learn my mind. When I have told you, I will not be long able to hold back tears. Oh, you will not be able to. So many men were killed, and many left behind at Troy. Just 2 of all the bronze-clad captains died while traveling back home. One more perhaps may be alive, trapped somewhere at sea. Ajax was drowned, his ships were sunk. Poseidon first drove him to the rocks of Gyre, then rescued him from the sea. He would have lived despite Athena's hatred, but he made a crazy boast that he survived the waves against the washes of the gods. Poseidon heard his rash words. At once, he seized his trident in mighty hands and hit the Gyran rock. One half remained. The other, on which Ajax sat as he boasted, cracked right off and fell into the sea and carried him deep down. The boundless waves washed over him. He drank the salty brine and died. But Agamemnon survived. The goddess Hera saved his fleet. When he had almost reached the craggy mountain of Malia, a gust of wind took hold and bore him over waves where fish were jumping, across the rumbling depths to where all farms are finished, where Thyestes used to live, and now his son Aegisthus. After that, the route was clear. The gods made all winds fair. Then joyfully he stepped foot in his country and touched and kissed the earth of his dear home. He wept hot floods of tears from happiness. But from the lookout post where the watchman saw him, scheming Aegisthus paid that man 2 talents of gold to watch all year, so Agamemnon could not slip past unseen or summon up his will to fight. The spy rushed off to tell the king. Aegisthus formed a plan at once. He chose the 20 best men in the land to lurk in ambush, and he told the house slaves to cook a feast. He rode out in his carriage and summoned Agamemnon, who suspected nothing. Aegisthus killed him over dinner, just as a person kills an ox at manger. All of the men who came with him were killed, and all those of Aegisthus were all were killed. His story broke my heart, and I sat down upon the sands and wept. I did not want to go on living or see the sun. I thrashed around and wailed, my friends died. I mean, it is sad, but I could just imagine a big baby man just... When I was done, the old sea god spoke words of truth to me. Now, son of Atreus, your endless weeping has gone on long enough. It does no good. Quickly, go home. You may find Aegisthus alive, or else Orestes may have come and killed him. You can join his funeral. Those words made me a man again. My heart was warmed inside despite my grief. My words took wing. I said, I know now of those 2, but name the 3rd who may still be alive, trapped somewhere in the wide expanse of sea, or maybe dead. I know the news may hurt, but I still want to hear it. And he answered, It is Laertes' son, the Ithacan. I saw him crying, shedding floods of tears upon Calypso's island in her chambers. She traps him there. He cannot go back home. He has no boats with oars or crews to row him across the sea's broad back to his own land. But Menelaus, it is not your fate to die in Argos. Gods will carry you off to the world's end, to Elysium. Those fields are ruled by tawny Rhadamanthus, and life is there the easiest for humans. There is no snow, no heavy storms or rain, but Ocean always sends up gentle breezes of zephyr to refresh the people there. You gain these blessings as the son-in-law of Zeus through Helen. Then the old god sank back beneath the waves. I went back to my ships and godlike men, and as I walked my mind swirled with many thoughts. Beside the fleet we cooked and ate our meals. Then holy night came down. We slept beside the surging water. When early dawn appeared and touched the sky with blossom, first we launched the balanced ships into the salty sea, put up the masts and fixed the sails, and then the men embarked and sat on benches neatly in their lines. And then at once they struck the sea with oars. We soon reached Egypt's holy rain-fed river. We docked the ships and sacrificed the oxen. When I had quenched the anger of the gods, I built a mound to honor Agamemnon for his immortal flame. The gods at last gave me fair wind and sent me quickly home. But come now, stay with me here in my palace until 11 or 12 days have passed. Then I will send you off with precious gifts, 3 horses and a gleaming chariot, also a lovely cup, so you can pour gifts to the gods and always think of me." Then tactfully, Telemachus replied, "Please do not keep me here so long, my lord. Indeed, I would be glad to stay a year. I would not even miss my home or parents. I get such pleasure listening to you. But my poor friends made me stay are surely tired of waiting in Pylos. You have made me stay too long. And as for a gift, please only give me treasure. You keep your lovely horses here. I cannot transport them all the way back to Ithaca. You rule these open meadows rich in clover, white barley, and wide rows in wheat and grass. In Ithaca there are no fields or racetracks, though it is only fit for goats. We love it more than horse pasture. Islands out at sea have no good grazing, ours the least of all." Then Menelaus smiled and clasped his hand, and spoke to him in his loud, booming voice. "My boy, your words are proof of your good blood. I will give you different gifts, just as you ask. I will give you the finest piece of treasure that all the hoard I have piled up at home. A finely crafted bowl of purest silver with gold around the rim. Hephaestus made it, and Phaedimus, the king of Sidon, gave it to me. When I was visiting his house, I was traveling home. You can have that." Such was their conversation. Then the guests entered the palace, bringing lamb and wine that gives one confidence. The girls, all dressed in pretty scarves, brought bread for them. So went the feasting in the house of Menelaus. Meanwhile, outside Odysseus' house, the suitors were as arrogant as usual, each enjoying throwing discuses and spears out on the playing field. The 2 chief suitors were sitting there, Antinous, the godlike Eurymachus. Antinous and godlike Eurymachus. Just then Noemon, son of Phronius, approached and asked a question. So do we know, Antinous or not, whether Telemachus is coming back from sandy Pylos? He left with my ship. I need it to cross over the fields of Elis, where I have 12 mares with mules suckling their teats and not yet broken in. I want to take and train one." They were all astonished, since they had not thought the boy was gone to Pylos, but somewhere near, out with sheep or pigs. Antinous said, "Tell me true, when did he go? And who went with him? Did he choose some Ithacans or slaves and laborers? It could be either. And tell me this, did he steal the ship from you by force, or did you give it to him freely because he asked?" Noemon, son of Phronius, replied, "I gave it freely. What could I do when someone so upset was asking me, a noble boy like that? It would have been ungracious to refuse. The young men who were with him were high class, the best in town except ourselves. I saw a mentor embark as captain, or perhaps not mentor, but a god who looked like him. This puzzles me that yesterday at dawn I saw great mentor here, though he had gone to Pylos in the ship." With that, Noemon departed for his father's house. Those leaders were furious. At once they made the suitors stop playing games and sit. Antinous spoke with eyes bright as fire, his mind darkened with anger. "Damn, that stuck-up boy succeeded in his stupid trip. We thought he would not manage it. Telemachus has launched a ship and picked an ideal crew to spite us all. This is the start of worse. May Zeus destroy his strength before he reaches manhood. Give me his ship and 20 men so that I may watch and catch him in the strait in between Ithaca and craggy Same. A sad end to this journey for his father." All of them praised his word and endorsed his plan, and went inside Odysseus' palace. Penelope was soon aware of all the suitors' secret plots. The houseboy, Medon, told her since he had been outside the courtyard and he had heard the plans they were devising. He rushed to tell her. As he stepped inside across the threshold, she came up and asked him, "Welcome back, Avery. What was it, Sly? Was it like Sly Cooper 2? I can't remember what you said you were watching." "Well, boy, why have those lordly suitors sent you? To tell godlike Odysseus' girls to stop their work and make a feast for them? I hope this is their final meal. I hope that they never gather elsewhere to go courting. You suitors who come crowding here are wasting Telemachus' wealth. When you were younger, you never paid attention to your fathers who told you of Odysseus' greatness. He never spoke or acted without justice among the people. Lords are mostly biased, but they favor one person and hate another, but he did not. He did no wrong at all. Now your wicked deeds and plans are clear. No gratitude for favors from the past." Then knowledgeable Medon answered her, "My queen, I wish this were the worst of it. Now they are plotting even greater ruin. May Zeus ensnare it never comes to pass. The suitors want to kill Telemachus with sharp bronze weapons on his journey home. He went to sandy Pylos and to Sparta for word about his father. At the news, her legs grew weak, her heart sank. She was struck dumb for a time, her voice blocked as her eyes filled with tears. At last she answered him. But why did my son go away? There was no need of him to go out on those swift ships that gallop like horses over miles of salty water. Did he intend to lose his name as well and be unknown? And Medon said, perhaps some god or his own heart nudged him to go to Pylos to find out about his father, if he will come back home or if he has already met his fate. With that, he left her. Grief wrapped around her, eating at her heart. The house was full of chairs, but she could not bear to sit upright. In her bedroom doorway, collapsing on the floor, she wept and cried. Around her, all her women, young and old, were whimpering. Voice thick with tears, she sobbed, Friends, listen. Zeus has cursed me more than all of the women of my family. Already I have lost my noble, lion-hearted husband, who's talented and brave of all the Greeks. Most talented and brave of all the Greeks, whose fame is spread throughout Greece. And now the winds have taken my dear son, and no one told me that he was setting out. Shame on you all! You knew that he was leaving in that ship. Not one of you came here to wake me up. If only I had known about this journey, he would have stayed, no matter how he wanted to leave, or else he would have left me dead right here. Now, call old Dolius, my gardener, the slave who cares for all my trees. My father gave him to me when I came here. Tell him to hurry off and sit beside Laertes and tell him everything. He may decide to go in tears to plead to those who want to kill godlike Odysseus' son, his grandson. Then the loyal Euryclea said, Lady sweetheart, even if you take a sword and kill me, I will tell the truth. I knew all of this. I gave him what he asked for, bread and sweet wine. He made me swear an oath not to inform you till 12 days had passed, or till you had heard about it and you missed him, so that you would not cry and spoil your beauty. Now have a bath, get changed into clean clothes, go with your slave girls upstairs to your room, pray to Athena, child of Zeus and king. She may save him from death, and do not bother poor old Laertes. He has pain enough. I do not think the blessed gods despise this family. I trust that there will always be one to rule this house and rich estate. This soothed Penelope. She dried her tears, and took her bath and got dressed in clean clothes, then went up to her bedroom with her girls. She put some barley on a tray and prayed, Hear me, Athena, tireless child of Zeus. If my quick-minded husband ever gave you fat thighs of beef or lamb here in our halls, remember now and save the son I love. Protect him from the abuses of those suitors. She wailed aloud. The goddess heard her prayers. The suitors made a racket that resounded all throughout the palace shadows. They were boasting, This queen, who all have come to courting, is ready now to marry one of us, and does not even know her son will die. They spoke not knowing how things really stood. Antinos declared to them, My lords, you have to stop bragging. Quiet down, or those inside will hear it. Now get up in silence. We must go and follow through the plan we all agreed in our hearts. With that, he picked 20 strongest men. They went down to the seashore. First of all, they launched the swift black ship in deep sea water, set up in the mast and raised the sails and fit the oars in proper order in the straps of leather, then spread out the bright white sails. With confidence their slaves dealt out weapons. They moored up high up the stream and disembarked. They ate there while they waited for the evening. Penelope lay upstairs in her bedroom, refusing food and drink, consuming nothing. She wondered if her fine son could escape from death or be brought down by those proud suitors. Her mind was like a lion caught by humans when they are clustering round him in a circle, trying to trap him. So sweet drowsiness subdued her, and she slept. Her limbs relaxed. Athena, bright-eyed goddess, had a plan. She made a phantom looking like a woman, Iphthime, child of great Icarius, the wife of Eumelus, who lived in Phaerae. She sent it to Odysseus' house to make Penelope feel less distressed and stop her tears of grief. It traveled through the latches' throng and in her bedroom stood above her head and asked, Penelope, are you asleep? Are you still upset? The gods who live at ease have no desire for you to weep or worry. No, your son is coming home. He has not wronged the gods. Intelligent Penelope, still sleeping sweetly inside the gates of dreams, replied, Sister, why have you come? Your house is far and you've never visited me before. You tell me to stop grieving and not feel the many pains that prickle at my heart. But long ago I lost my lion-hearted husband, a man more talented than any, famous throughout all of Greece. Now my dear son has sailed off in a ship, though he knows nothing of hardship in the world. He is a child. I worry for him more than for his father. I shudder. I am scared of what may happen at sea, or in the country that they went to. He has so many enemies. They plan to murder him before he reaches home. The misty phantom answered her. Have courage. Let not your heart be troubled or afraid. He has a goddess as his guide. Athena, a helper many men have prayed to have. She has great power. Pitying your grief, she sent me here to tell you all of this. Careful, Penelope replied. If you are actually a god with news from gods, tell me about my husband too, poor man. Tell me if he is alive and sees the sun, or dead already in the house of Hades. The spirit said, I cannot tell you whether he is alive or dead. It is not good to speak of things intangible as wind. With that, the phantom floated through the air into the breeze. And then Penelope woke from her sleep, and she was glad at heart, because she dreamed so clearly in the night. The suitors got on board and sailed across the water set on murdering the boy. There's a rocky island out at sea, and between Ithaca and craggy Same, called Esteris, quite small, but with a harbor to shelter ships. There, they lurked in ambush. It's only now, at the end of the reading, that I realize that I can fucking use the space bar to switch the pages. I don't have to use the arrow keys. Son of a bitch. God. The spirit said, Cha! All right, so Telemachus has gone to his dad's quote unquote roommate from the war who fucking loves him and is like, my dad, I gotta go see my dad. And he's like, bro, I love your dad. That's awesome. You should totally, we're gonna see your dad, bro. He's fine, probably, maybe. God, I hope so. God, I want to kiss him. And Telemachus is like, yeah, right, yeah, okay. A little weird, but I'm gonna go because I gotta keep doing stuff. I gotta go find him and whatnot. Or go home and deal with the suitors. He's like, suitors? You mean those punk-ass bitches? He's like, yeah, they suck ass. And then the suitors are like, what if we just, like, go kill him? He's like one kid, right? He's like, what, 14? Yeah, let's just go murder him. Let's go murder a kid, everyone. What do you say to that? Yay, I want to go murder a kid, they said in unison. And then Penelope was like, oh no, they're gonna murder my kid. And Athena was like, yo, I got you. Hold on. Straight up, I am on your kid's side, and he's gonna come home. Not gonna promise Odysseus is gonna come home, though. But Telemachus is gonna come home. But I'm not gonna spoil this story, obviously. I'm a god, not a spoil sport. And so now Penelope is just, like, chilling. Also, it's interesting how often they describe food. Kind of reminds me of Game of Thrones. In Game of Thrones, they describe food a lot, like specifically eating meals. I wonder if that is, I wonder if this narrative is a, inspiration for that style of writing. Because people talk about it a lot, but we're now 4 books in, and we've had, 7 eating scenes, if not more. These bitches really do be having a feast or two. But that is today's reading. Thank you everyone so much for joining me for another reading of the Odyssey. Next week we will read chapters 5 and 6 and continue on our journey. For now, I'm going to change some stream info. Give me just 1 second. Jeez, I'm tired of coughing. Let's see here. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Nice. Here we go. Final Fantasy 3. Where's the tab? Give me the tab! You fucking bitch! What if I just type through? Oh, no, it's the 2002 one. That's right. No, 2006. There we go. I can't actually use it doesn't have one for the original one, so it's whatever. They just don't have it like as a category. I am going to take a quick break. Tobe?